We're back to our remote learning, and we're still talking about perspective. In fact, at this point, you should really be thinking about it because you should be considering what you're going to do for your fourth project. The project requirements are posted under the files link on Canvas, so please read over those. If you have any questions about them, email me as soon as you can. You do have until, I believe, until April 13th. That'll be the day that they're due. You will send them to me electronically. I want you to be prompt this time. I know some of you guys are, just getting used to this, but now we should be rolling. And at this point, you should be, checking the announcements, checking your email regularly, making sure you didn't miss anything. You should definitely be watching the videos because I'm not making those for my health. I'm making them for you, to help you with these processes. And you should definitely be doing any reading that I post, including the reading about perspective. If you haven't read that already, which you should have by now, please read that. Please watch the 2 short videos to get you primed for this. Do the exercise that I do. Do it along with me. It'll definitely help you understand this better. And then you'll be ready. You'll be ready to go with this project. You should be starting to get inspired for what you want to do. Now, you don't have to take this super literally. I'm showing you this picture right now, this 2-point perspective image of a bedroom. You don't have to draw the bedroom just the way that it is. You just have to use the bedroom as reference for what you want to do. So even though this is a very structured way of drawing, a lot of straight lines, it's all very geometric and angular, you don't have to make everything look just that way. You can be imaginative with this. You can express yourself. You can abstract what you're seeing. As long as I'm seeing that you understand the conventions of perspective and how to create the illusion of depth by way of a horizon line, vanishing points, orthogonal lines, transverse lines, and then atmospheric perspective, where you are rendering objects that are closer, a little bit darker and more refined and more detail, and then things that are further away would tend to be lighter and less distinct. That's what you should be focused on. That's what you should be thinking about whenever you're creating these projects. If you read over the Project 4 breakdown, at the end of it, I sort of showed you like a potential step-by-step way of approaching this. Now, I know that most of you probably don't have a piece of plexiglass lying around that you can turn into a viewfinder or a length of elastic cord. That was just an example. You don't have to do it that way. All of this can be done using a ruler or a straight edge. So just let me show you a couple things here real quick, and then I'm going to jump to the drawing board, and I'm going to actually start a drawing. I'm going to draft it out, show you a good portion of it today. And then the second half of this will be shown to you for our next class, and it will be me putting some of the finishing touches on, maybe mixing some different types of media together to create a finished work of art. I think I gave you guys until April 13th to work on this. That's a good bit of time. So you guys should be planning it now, maybe even drafting it out, deciding what you want to do, maybe taking some photos. I want you guys to stay on deadline with this. I want to make sure that you turn those finished images into me on time. Be prompt with them. I know a lot of you guys, were dragging your feet a little bit because this is real chaotic. It's a big change for everybody. Everybody's, doing their best. So it's time to get on track. Stay on top of the announcements. Stay on top of your email. Make sure you've watched all the videos and done all the reading, and you'll be in good shape. The same amount of information I would have given you if I was seeing you in class. So try to stay in that mindset. You are still technically a student, even though we are not doing this face-to-face. This is how we got to do it. Try to make sure you turn this into me on time. That way I can post it to Canvas and we can do a critique. So that being said, here's the photo that I took of a bedroom. 2-point perspective. The idea with this is, say you take a photograph and you want to use it as reference, then you're going to have to tell yourself, I need to figure out where my vanishing points are so that I can accurately render this. So what I had to do in order to find my vanishing points, and of course my horizon line as well, is I had to back off a little bit. Look how far I had to zoom out. I had to create space on either side of my image. Now, I don't think you're going to be able to do this unless you print out the photograph that you took. If you can't do that, it's fine. You'll just have to kind of use your imagination and try to visualize this. But this is a way to help you get accuracy. In order to create enough space to find my vanishing points, to place my horizon line, to make sure that all my orthogonals vanish to one point or another. And I spent some time messing with this, and this is the sort of overlay of lines that I found. Now, the red line is where I determined my horizon line was, my eye line, because I took this picture standing up. The yellow dots to either side here are my vanishing points. You can see a lot of these lines, like the corner of the desk, edge of the bed. They're all vanishing to this point over here, and this side of the bed, this line on the window, top of the door frame, vanish to this point way over here. And I cut this off, like there's a picture on the wall, but obviously if I'd have continued with it, I would have gotten the full edge of the picture. And if this picture was three-dimensional, sticking out from the wall, the edges of the picture would vanish to this vanishing point. So look what I've done here. I've taken the photo, but I've also given myself all this space over here to do something more interpretive or expressive or abstract. And that's what I'm looking for here. I'm looking for you to take an image and go beyond the conventions of what's there. I'm not going to deduct points or tell you it's bad if you do an actual drawing of an actual space. I'm just saying I know that sometimes that's not interesting to people, and sometimes it's fun to take something that's like this, very technical, very rigid, and find a way to turn it into something more expressive. So maybe I could take this section over here and make it look like, deep space. Maybe this is a star. Maybe this is, some type of spaceship shooting out. I can make it look like a nighttime sky out here. So it looks like, multiple dimensions intersecting with one another. Translate this into something more interesting than just a simple photograph of a room. That's why I'm giving you so much time to work on this. What do you want to do? And how can you translate that and interpret that into a photograph? Like, I don't have to draw a bed here. I can draw this as a rectangular shape projecting from space and then just do something else with the background, or color this in such a way that indicates that, you see there's a light source. The top plane is lighter. This plane is like a mid-tone. This plane's very dark. You could do that with different types of medium, whether you have marker, pen, maybe you have color pencil. How are you going to approach this? Maybe write some kind of step-by-step plan down for how you could approach this. I want to show you another one. This is an example of multiplanar perspective. It's got a three-point perspective thing going on. I'm looking at this at a slight worm's eye view. Your horizon line is not always going to be straight across depending upon the angle at which you take the photo. In fact, in the case of this picture, my horizon line's definitely at a diagonal. So now I can figure out where all my vanishing points are, where my orthogonals go to. The thing about three-point perspective that can be very challenging, especially if you don't have really big paper to work on, is that your vanishing points, while one of them or even two of them may fit onto the page, a third one is almost always going to be outside of your picture plane. So I'm going to zoom way out on this just so I can see this distinct vanishing point and this one way over here. They are way off of the page, and it's because the extreme angle that I took the photograph from. One of my vanishing points is right there, the short side of the house. It's where the bottom of some of the stairs vanish to. There's even some multiplanar stuff going on here because the stairs themselves actually have their own vanishing point, and they would have another one down here somewhere, so it would be like a two-point perspective on top of a three-point perspective image. I know that's going to melt your brain, right? But you can see what I was doing here. I was checking the angle of the facade of the house, the top of the roof, the railings, all going to this point over here, way off in the distance, and then there's ones over here as well, this side of the house, this railing, all vanishing to this point. And then all these lines that normally, if I had taken this straight up and down, would have been transverse lines, they are now orthogonal lines, and they're going all the way up here to that vanishing point. And that's what makes it a 3-point, slightly worm's eye view. It would be even more extreme if I'd actually like knelt down on the ground and taken the picture. You know, print your picture out kind of small and maybe put it on a big piece of paper and sort out where your vanishing points are. And that's something that I'm going to do with this other one. I'm going to print this out so that I can use it as reference. And I'm going to use this as my guide, as my template for what I want to draw, because I like these projections. And I am going to kind of do something like what I mentioned, where I'm going to, do this part a little bit more in a more expressive, imaginative way, and then maybe this part will be more structural, so you'll see the shift from drawing from observation to drawing from imagination. I think that's the best way to approach this, because if you're just always doing things from observation, then you never have the opportunity to explore the possibility of what could be in the space. If you want to draw your house, getting attacked by a giant squid, that would be awesome. But the structure of the house is the most important part, not the giant squid. Get the structure first, then put the giant squid in there attacking your house, if that's something you wanted to do. Again, just throwing it out there. I'm only throwing out suggestions and things to inspire you. I want you guys to run with this. I want you to show me what kind of problem solvers you are. You're all capable of creative problem solving, because that's really what art is. It's not only a method of communication, it's not only a way of thinking, but it's a method for problem solving. And in this case, I'm giving you the problem of drawing a three-dimensional space. How are you going to approach it? How are you going to make it look 3D? And then once you've done that, how are you going to make it interesting? How are you going to make it artistic? That's what I want to see. That's what I'm interested in. I can't wait to see what you guys come up with. I'm going to go over to the drawing board, and I'm going to start walking you through this process. And we'll do some of it today, and then the rest of it, the finishing touches, I'll show you next time. Okay? All right, we're back for the second portion of this first video walkthrough, Project 4, perspective drawing. I've got my artboard set up here. I'm working on larger paper than most of you will probably be working on, but that's my prerogative. I have the art supplies lying around. If you do, please use them. That's what they're for. If not, that's fine. I'm not going to be that worried about whether or not you guys work large on this. I just want to see that you understand how to create the illusion of depth. I've got this printout here. You look familiar from that first part. I printed this out, the picture of the bedroom. Horizon line is where my vanishing points are, so that I can set this drawing up to be similar. And I'll probably add in some of these elements, like the window and the door and the bed here in the foreground, but I'm going to go further than that. I'm going to do some other stuff too. So I'm going to take you through sort of the first half of drafting this, and then there will be another video 2 days from today, and it will be me sort of finishing it up and adding some bells and whistles, the special effects, whatever you want to call it, production value. Just to bring your attention to this, in case you've never seen one before, this is a viewfinder, what I was telling you about. It's a piece of plexiglass, it's 4x5. It's set up to be roughly the same dimensions as one of your large pieces of 18x24 paper. So if you were to get something like this, and I drew these lines on here so I could have a grid, 4 squares by 5 squares, and I have a dry erase marker here, or a wet erase marker. It's a vis-a-vis marker. It's a wet erase. And what you can do with this, as a viewfinder, you can line it up, go out into the world. It's like how directors do that thing. They're like, oh, you should be in pictures. Same thing. You're using a viewfinder. You can hold it up to whatever it is that you're thinking about drawing, and you could just use the wet erase marker to trace the edges to give yourself a setup. And then from here, you can grid your paper and then just use this as a guide to blow something up. That's something we didn't get a chance to do with the first project, the grid method, because quite honestly, creating these takes time and costs money, and I didn't have, our class was big. I usually do this for my drawing classes, but with 20 plus people in the class, I couldn't do it this time around. But you can make one of these for yourself, and they are super nifty tools. I showed you in that project breakdown for Project 4 was how you could use a piece of elastic cord whenever you're doing this. I'm not going to use this since you guys don't have the opportunity to do this unless you have elastic cord lying around. But for future reference, it's pretty neat because all you really would have to do would be to tape down the edges of your cord, and you tape them to the vanishing points. And then all you'd have to do, if it's taped down securely, is move the cord up and down, and you can draw along the line, and it's going to give you all those lines. So you don't have to sit there and keep moving your ruler around. But as it is, we're going to use the ruler. Okay, so I'm looking at my reference image here, and I'm noticing that, and I'm actually looking at it based on the entire image space, not just this little square, because I'm going to extend my drawing beyond the square. I'm looking and seeing that my horizon line is not the halfway point. It's like slightly above the halfway point of the page. So I'm going to put it up here and try to line up the edge of your ruler with a flat edge, flush with a flat edge, so that you can get a nice, crisp, straight line. I'm just going to draw my horizon line in there. And now I've got one of my vanishing points is going to be right here. And the other one is all the way over here, disparate ends of the page. Now if I'm looking at the halfway point of my whole page, which is, and I'm eyeballing this. It doesn't have to be exact. You don't have to measure all this. It's going to be frustrating to try to do that. So if this is about my halfway point, so I'm going to place it right here. And I'm just figuring out a couple of these guides to help me place things. See, I have the edge of my ruler braced up against a flat surface, so I know that it's flush. That way I can make sure that my lines are nice and straight. Okay. So now what I want to do is I'm going to draw one of these strong orthogonal lines. And it looks like it comes in, as I'm looking at my guide, it comes in right past this second line over. It doesn't touch this line. So that's how I know where I want to place it. I'm going to place it like right about there. Okay. And then I have another one above that that's vanishing to the same vanishing point. I'm going to put that in too. I'm paying attention to my guide at this point because I'm looking at what I'm actually drawing here. I'm going to be drawing a bed. So I'm using this line to line up the edge of the bed. It's going to be the end of the bed. So now, top of the bed, I'm going to triangulate this point in 3 different areas. Got one, going to this one, coming down from this transverse line, and then I'm going to have it going all the way over here to my vanishing point. So I'll just draw that line to my vanishing point. And I have another one here going to the same point. I just have to figure out what line I want to put that on. So this comes down to here, and then at this point, draw that line back. See, I'm just sort of starting to draft out placement for objects. I'm not drawing anything yet. I'm just figuring out where edges of things are, where I want to place things. the idea. This is the first step, drafting something out. I was using an HB, use an H, and it's like a lighter pencil or a mechanical pencil for this part, and just get it drafted so that then you have something to work with. And from there, take it to the next step. Okay? So, thanks for watching today, guys. Come back for our next class, and I'll continue this. I'm just sort of coaching you through this project so you see what it requires of you. Just get down to business. Just start drawing. So good luck. Get started on this. If you have any questions, you can email me, and I'll see you next time.